Kia ora guys, welcome to the Wholesome Half Hour. Today we are talking about your NCEA horror stories. We put out a status on Facebook earlier this week and we asked you guys to tell us some of your more interesting NCEA experiences, and we got a lot of responses, so we thought we'd go through the best ones today.
Yeah, so we've put down some of our favourites and we're hoping to share some of ours as well, and really we're hoping this is just a cathartic session for everyone so we can all just bathe in the glory that is NCEA.
Yeah, no, it sounds like, when we put this up, I'm like, oh yeah, there'll be some good stuff, but when they came in...
Yeah, there were some that I was like, wow. So are we just gonna tap in and out?
Yeah,
these,
I reckon, we can,
Yeah, mean. So we've got people's names beside each one of them. Apologies if we pronounce anyone's names wrong. We are but human, but we do our best.
We do our best.
Awesome. Okay, so do you want me to start?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, so the first one that I've got down here is Tamika, yes. And she actually gave us a few, so we'll start. I like that all of them are opened with a date. So we begin in November 2017.
This is a story.
Mathematics with Algebra Level 1. I go into the exam quietly confident. I was good at math, so it should be pretty easy, right? Wrong. I could barely answer any questions in all 3 papers. 15 minutes in and I was in tears, trying not to sniffle too loud and get kicked out. Big mood. I left early knowing there was no way I could answer any more questions. I cried and ate a punnet of strawberries while I waited for the bus. It only took a few hours for the news to break that NCEA had messed up. The exam was too hard and used skills that students hadn't been taught. Even some teachers couldn't answer the questions. It was not comforting. That was a national mood, eh? When that happened.
It's interesting when that happens, because it happens from time to time. They make mistakes and they get through the cracks. It's interesting how people react.
The biggest issue with that is it does create like this big stigma around it, particularly with the MCAT.
Yeah, and the reality is, I don't know, people, the MCAT, they did numerous tests, but the odds of you being in an exam where something goes wrong is low.
Yeah.
So it's not worth thinking about it too much, because I feel like some people get fixated on it and they worry about it, whereas you should just walk into the exam and assume it's going to be an all good normal exam.
Yeah. So you want to go for Tamika's second story?
I can do that. And also trying not to sniffle too loud and get kicked out. This reminded me. I didn't realize I did this until one day I had one of my mates sitting in front of me in an exam, and he's like, "You sigh a lot during exams." And I didn't realize this, but I'll just stretch and be like, and I'll do it all the time. I didn't realize I did it that frequently. But
that's very fun.
Very amusing. Okay, next story. January 2018. NCEA Level 1 marks out, but there was no grade next to English for me. At first I thought there was an error in loading my page. Reload. No change. Then it hits me. I did the digital pilot exam, but what if I never actually turned in the paper? I rang NCEA in a frenzy, and it turns out they didn't mark my exam, but it wasn't just me. They'd missed out a few thousand digital exams. They told me to wait a week. I did. No result. They had no news. Another week. Still no result. I began panicking. Would I ever know how I answered the still question of unfamiliar text? Finally, a week later, the marks came. I could rest easy knowing the still had saved me. Thank you, still, for the excellence.
The still was, again, a national mood.
The still was a good mood, yeah. I found that very amusing. And it was very amusing because people started messaging us about the still, but obviously we weren't in the exam.
I feel like
so it took a little while for the context. Yeah.
They think that we've got a mole in NCEA somewhere.
Yeah, it took a while for the context to be applied. Yeah, if you know anyone, you can
help us.
Hit us up.
We need a mole for NCEA. We're taking candidates now.
Still was very amusing. Very amusing that they forgot to mark all the digital exams.
A few thousand though. That's atrocious.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, that's not an oversight, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. It's getting more popular, the digital exams, eh?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, Big Uni is also trialling digital exams this year with certain courses.
Interesting. Okay, last one from Tamika. One time, one of my friends in maths wrote 3 sentences for her internal for level 2 geometry. Our teacher, in his Scottish accent, which I'm not even going to try and do, it will turn into Mike Myers' Shrek, said that he tried to fail her, but she wrote exactly the keywords to get achieved. And if that isn't like NCEA in a nutshell, then I don't know what is. Like, it's so buzzwordy, so keywordy. I feel like you could do almost the exact same thing for like bio.
Yeah.
Like if you really wanted to, like.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Oh, big schmood. Okay.
Angus. And level 2 bio in the ecosystems and zonation assessment. I think I remember this one. We went on the traditional, I remember this. I remember doing this assessment. When we went on the traditional trip to Pukurua Bay in traditionally horrible weather, we did the transect lines, or whatever the hell they're called, and did exactly what our teachers said. When we got back to school to do the rest of the assessment, the other bio teacher said that our The other bio teacher said that our data was invalid and didn't give us a reason why, brackets, because it was valid. Then after my group got our grades back, my friend and I failed because we had invalid data, but the other member of our group who had the exact same data as us and the whole rest of the assessment was pretty much exactly the same, got merit.
That's atrocious.
That's very amusing.
That actually reminds me when I was but a bean going through NCEA, one of my friends, two of my mates, for a physics, I think, assessment it was.
Yeah.
They did the exact same thing, got the exact same data and marks, and their teacher, one of them got a merit and one of them got an achieved.
Yeah.
And so my mate who got the achieved, like, was like to the teacher, like, we had the exact same thing, like, why is this different? And the teacher was like, oh, you're right, now the friend got the achieved as well. So rather than him being pushed out, the other guy just got an achieved instead. I don't know.
I feel like you're not, I feel like that's like explicitly like not allowed.
Probably, but it was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's weird.
Funny when it's not you.
Yeah, funny when it's not you, right?
Yeah, 100%. Katie Reid?
Katie Reid. It's your turn.
Oh, so it is.
Yeah.
My friends and I had a communal cheat sheet for our level 3 redox assessment. We all wrote the same answers, but we all got different grades. Oh, exact same thing. It's always so weird when that happens.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a lot of nuances to the wording and stuff as well that like, sometimes comes up.
Actually, on
the application of the cheat sheet is as important as the cheat sheet itself.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I remember it wasn't redox, it was the level 2 chem. It was the level 2 chem assessment where you had to identify like 3 different solutions.
With the flow chart.
Yeah, and they had a flow chart and you had to follow that. And I had done everything to get excellence. I had gotten it, like, I had followed it. It was all like I'd identified the right thing. It was silver. And for anyone that doesn't know the periodic table, silver is denoted with like AG.
Yeah.
And again, people probably don't know this, but I've got really stupid handwriting. And the way that I do my big A's is just like a big little A. And so my teacher looked at that and was like, well, she wrote the element wrong.
Yeah.
Like, and so I got a merit. Yeah. And my teacher was like, yeah, it's because you didn't capitalize this. And I was like, oh, no, you don't see. Like, my handwriting's stupid. That is a capital.
Yeah.
And so he was like, oh, okay, like, that's fine. And I got the excellence. Yeah. But he was like, you just can't do that again. Like, you have to make sure that it's, like, very clearly like, I guess a real A.
Yeah, with notation and stuff like that, it's like...
It was just something like, at the time, like, I hadn't even thought about it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like you know, if... Like when you use like units, you have to get the like capitalization right as well.
Yeah.
Like moles, like if you want to write moles per liter, you couldn't put a lowercase l.
Yeah, exactly. And like, especially in things like physics where it's like, you know, like a little T is time, big T is temperature. So like you can't kind of get those.
I just realized I like wrote the date for this episode.
It's 2018.
I've been doing that a lot recently. I was writing my entire timesheet in 2018. It's 2019. I remember at school I used to do that as well. Like when I wrote my notes, like I'd put like the previous year, the quarter, just because it's like doesn't change often enough to reset my memory, you know.
Oh no. Okay, this one got me good. This one was very amusing to me.
Okay, so in year 13 physics last year, we just finished our last internal, the practical investigation one, I wasn't too confident for it because of all the calculations we had to do, but I gave it my best shot anyway. Our teacher seemed quite disappointed when he got them to mark and said a few people would need to do resubs and to change the grade. He also said one person failed, but he was giving me and the others a lot of chances to get up their grade. But we had to do those resubs at his desk, which faces the whole class, so it seemed pretty daunting. It was my turn to go up, and I was freaking out because I probably knew I stuffed up in the calculations and I had no clue how to fix them. The teacher told me I wrote one of the equations wrong, and I was so confused because it was the one thing I couldn't figure out. Because in the actual internal, I just randomly wrote something.
Keep going.
It's
still going.
It's more.
It's good.
So there I was, standing in front of the class at the desk, trying to figure out what the heck to write to give me this achieved. I could feel the sweat coming down my forehead as my teacher was just watching what I was going to write. He was trying to hint at me what the answer was, but lol, I had no idea. My teacher then left the room for a bit, and I looked at my friend's paper super nervously, like, OMG, I'm going to fail this internal. But then I managed to just start writing some equation, and my teacher was like, okay, keep going. And I kept going. It kind of looked wrong, but I had to give it a shot. Then my teacher was like, okay, great, well done. But he looked kind of worried, lol. I probably got the whole thing wrong, but he gave me an achieve because he didn't want to see any student getting a fail. That was probably the most stressful situation I've ever been in.
That would be incredibly stressful, being at like the front of the class, and you know that you don't know.
Yeah, I remember once I was like busy at the time, like this internal was held, so like the head of department's like, oh, you can do it like later that day, and like I did it later that day, but I was doing it in it was during class time, so like all the classrooms were in use, so I was doing it like at a desk in like the hallway of the science department. Very weird place to like do an exam. Like
you'd look like one of those kids that was put in isolation.
Yeah. Very weird. I actually did all right in the internal, but
that's very good.
Very interesting place. Yeah, front of the class seems worse though. I feel like hallway's better than that.
Yeah, if I was in that situation, my teacher left the room, I would turn around and be like, okay, team, so what's everyone's thoughts on this? Like me. Okay. So, Kishan, I split the webbing between my pinky and ring finger on my right hand, so right there, the night before my physics exam when I got hit by a cricket ball during training. I did the exam with a real sketchy job of strapping it up, then went to the doctor afterwards, ended up passing all 3 papers. What an animal. That's so good.
That's a good achievement.
Mad respect.
I'm not sure if I could pull that off.
I would definitely milk it for all I thought it was worth.
How do you say this name?
Nurja?
Naraja, something like that.
Apologies.
So before I started NCEA and heard about the credit system, I thought you literally had got given a coloured disc that represented the number of credits you had. So 50 credits equaled 50 coloured discs, but unfortunately that was not the case. I'd be into that. Imagine, or like, what
that tangible reward.
Can you like turn NCA into like a currency? Like, you know, you've got your $5 bills, your $10 bills, your $1 coin.
And excellence is worth like $50, like.
Yeah. Oh no, not just finance. Like, I just want like the credits to be represented in like a physical currency.
Petition for it to be a physical currency that you can exclusively use at the canteen at your school.
But then if you spend your credits, you can't get you still have to get the 50 credits to pass.
Worth that pie though, am I right?
So you fail NCA, but you get lunch.
But you get that good like red licorice whip.
It'll be an interesting system.
I see no downside. Okay. Okay, so Angus again. I didn't have a ruler for level 2 maths and physics exams last year, so I used a measuring tape.
Interesting choice.
I loved it so much. I would have loved to have seen somebody in an exam just whip out like of their like builder's like belt that they're wearing.
That's very amusing. Surely a ruler is not that hard to acquire.
Nah, measuring tapes are definitely more accessible. I would have loved if it was like seamstresses and stuff like that. How they have like the wiggly ones.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah, that'd be good. Smaller than all
Just
those.
raided the soft tech department, eh?
Tamika said in the level 2 biology stratification internal, a trip to Fiordland to collect data. This seems to be a favourite internal.
Yep. This one's a good story.
Rock climbing, tramping, caving, kayaking, etc. plus internal work on our schedule for the week we were there. Sounds great. Well, it would have been if it wasn't planned so terribly. So terribly, in fact, that the 100 students were sat at 11 p.m. with the teachers who were mad at us trying to finish our work that was due. There were tears, there was confusion, there was a chair thrown and a few obscenities said. There were teachers getting mad at teachers, resulting in some of them eating students baking at 1 a.m. by themselves. It was chaos. Our due date for part 2 of the internal had been pushed back into the next term, but at last we survived Bio Camp 2018. It's very amusing. I didn't realise that was a thing, going on camp to like do an internal.
No, I never did that.
Yeah, no, that's a
I love
interesting.
the idea of a dejected teacher sitting in the corner of a room at 1 a.m. eating like stolen some students' baking and just like mowing
That is
it.
quite amusing. Maybe we should. We should have got baking in here.
Sorry.
I'm hungry now.
Oh.
I didn't eat breakfast today. It's very sad.
I thoroughly enjoy that story. It's so good.
That's good.
Okay, so Angus, my pen exploded just before they started the level 2 English exam and I had to use tissues to stop it getting all over my papers, and my friends and I had ink all over our hands for several days. And another friend did 2 graveyard shifts in a row before the exam and overslept and turned up just as the exam started.
I've always wondered, like I've never been late to an exam, but I've always wondered what it would be like to be late to an exam, because you're allowed to walk in until like,
I think it's like 15 minutes.
I think it's like, maybe it's 15 minutes. It's, yeah, or
You,
like
you do have like a bit of a courtesy period.
There's a bit of a, yeah.
It probably depends on the school as well, to be honest.
No, it's like in the rails.
Oh, really?
I think it's like 45 minutes or like half an hour.
Oh, wow.
It's like, it's
That's quite a while.
essentially you can walk in and I think it's, yeah, something like that. At uni exams, you can walk in until the halfway mark.
Really?
Yeah, so the reason for that is the halfway mark is the time where people start leaving.
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to leave. You're not allowed to walk in after that. But at uni exams, you can definitely walk in until the halfway mark.
That's
So you can walk in an hour. You can literally walk in an hour late and still sit there.
That's such a power move.
That's very amusing. I just find that very amusing.
Could you imagine sitting in your exam though and seeing like just some idiot walking in like an hour and just like, kia ora boys, like, I'll be like, leave. Reflect on your life and leave.
I don't know, maybe I'll try it sometime. Maybe not. I don't know. I've walked into last year. I had this like exam, and it was open book, right? So you got to bring notes in, but you had to write an essay. So it's still real time consuming. I'm like, it's open book. It'll only take half the time. Like, I can walk out here in an hour. Spend the whole time. Just yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The
But
idea
the
of
thing-
walking in late stresses me out.
Way too much.
Interesting power move, but
Yeah, the thing about like open book assessments is one of those things where you really don't have, like, because you have autonomy on how much you bring in, it's a lot of people over prepare, like they
Yeah.
bring too much in. And like the issue with that is like you spend half the exam trying to find the information in your notes as opposed to like having something like a good cheat sheet or something there that you can just like use to help, but you
trying to
have
work
most of
out
the knowledge in your head, which is what you should be doing in an open book assessment.
I want to know what I got on the exam. That was alright. Interesting.
Okay, your turn for a story.
Okay.
From Sally.
Sally. 2016 MCAT. Lol. Especially for me, since I hadn't had a math lesson in 2 weeks before the exams and had early stages of pneumonia at the time as well. Rest in peace.
Yeah, that's sad.
MCAT. It sounds like everyone's favourite exam.
Yeah. So this last one, I think, is probably the biggest doozy of them all. I don't know that Saren's read this one. But okay, so it comes from Elise. And she said, so my brother was doing a scholarship classics exam that was really important to him because he wanted to study classics at uni. Anyway, he ends up not being able to write anything because his brain isn't working and he has a full-on mental breakdown. He ends up flipping a desk, tearing off a sheet and giving it to his friend before walking out. He said that he can't remember any of this, but was later investigated by NCEA for drawing a picture of a pig doing Heil Hitler with the message NCEA are fascists. And they thought for sure he was on drugs. He wasn't. He's just weird.
That's very amusing.
That's That's unfortunate, eh?
Yeah. If you do weird stuff in exams, you do actually get a letter sent to you. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't even have to be for like something as extreme as that.
Yeah,
like you can just
like any sort of like communication with the marker, and stuff
it's
like
a
that.
no-no. Yeah. So those were all the stories that we had sent in to us. Thank you guys so much for everyone that did decide to share their horror stories with us. We love to be able to bathe in the glory of it all. But I want to know what's your biggest.
I can't think of. I was trying to think of a horror story. I can't really think of a horror story. I can definitely think of amusing stories.
Okay.
I don't know. Once I think it was year 13, so it was like end of year. Like it was near the end of the year, like just before we went on study leave, and like our media teacher like was giving us an opportunity to resub stuff. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't really be bothered like actually doing like reworking the piece because it was like the end of year 13, so it was just like chilling out.
Yeah, it's like.
So I just like printed it off again and like gave it to her again, exactly the same. And she read it and she's like, "Oh, you can argue this is an E." She just changed it. I literally didn't change the piece at all.
That's so funny to me.
Yeah, very amusing. Got an M the first time around. I thought, it was amusing. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my biggest. Not necessarily like a horror story, but I think it's just like a big mood that like a lot of people can relate to is, and this happened all 3 years of NCEA.
Yeah.
So I was definitely more of an internal than an external student, always. And so my strategy of getting through NCEA was I always got my endorsements before I went into exams because I knew that I like just didn't. I could do like merits, but I just never ever, like all 3 years of NCEA, I never got an excellence once on an external, ever.
Yeah.
Like, ever. Like, it was the most infuriating thing. And what made it worse was I was also a student, and it became like this sick joke among my friends where I was that borderline student, like if anybody was going to be 1 mark off, it was me. It was always me. And so, like, it was so incredibly frustrating to never have cracked an excellence in any of my externals, but also only ever be 1 mark off. Like, I'm not even kidding, where in my level 3, I had probably 3 or 4 different standards that I sat that I was 1 mark off.
Yeah.
All the time. And for level 3, that was actually the difference between my endorsement levels as well. So, I sat on that Young 45 excellence credits at level 3, and I had one exam that was worth 5 credits that I was like so confident that I could get. Not so confident, but I was like, out of all my exams, this is definitely the one that I can get, I have the highest chances of getting excellence in. 1 mark off.
Classic, yeah. Now the 1 mark off's it's an interesting one.
It's a hard blow.
Yeah.
But I had almost just resigned myself to it at that point because I just copped it for the past 3 years.
Yeah. I remember I didn't do that well in my year 13 externals, but I did Scholl Media and Scholl Geo. I was 1 mark off Scholl Media and 2 marks off Scholl Geo. I didn't even take Geo. I didn't study Geo. I just did the Scholl exam and our teacher, the teacher obviously gave us a good enough formula that I was able to do that with 4 hours of preparation.
Oh my god!
And then my media Scholl also was taught, but in the exam I went on a complete diversion and added a yarn about digital media and it was an interesting ride. I didn't get it though, so I can't actually endorse doing this.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you that scholarship's actually not that hard.
Scholl is not nearly as scary as people think it is. Oh, okay. Do you know what is a weird dynamic? At your school, did you ever have for your externals another school come and sit their externals at your school?
Yes.
Yeah. So
we were a big school.
Yeah. I was at a co-ed school, and we had the Christian school that half of Hawke's Bay just didn't even know existed because it was in this weird suburb. I'm pretty sure there was 3 people in year 13.
Yeah.
But
Gloria Vale of Hawke's Bay.
Yeah, it was the Gloria Vale of Hawke's Bay. What a way to offend so many people. But yeah, no, I remember every year, the first year of NCEA, and they don't tell you that there's going to be these other people just turn up in random uniforms hanging out outside, and we're always so confused, who are these people and why are they here? Because they're in their uniforms as well. And there was just this not like an animosity between the two groups, but it was just like so distinct. It was like such an us and them mentality.
Yeah.
And it was just like the weirdest dynamic.
I think like a lot of the like distance learning students in Wellington like sat the exams at our school.
Right.
So obviously they were in mufti, right? We had
Yeah.
uniform. And they would always get like let in first and stuff, which I found very amusing.
Yeah.
Not special enough for that.
Yeah, I definitely remember, like, I can't remember what exam it is now, but I definitely remember in one of them, like, you know, when you're just, like, sitting around your mates in an exam and you can just hear, like, everyone, like, giggling every now and then, and it's so, like, infectious, and, like, I'm one of those people
Okay, I don't think I've ever heard anyone giggle at an exam, just for the record.
No, but it's not like a, oh, I'm enjoying myself laugh. It's like a, I don't know how to express myself, and this is how nervousness manifests itself in this flesh prison that is my body. Like, I'm one of those people who like just always emotes in just the complete wrong way in an intense situation, and like.
Interesting. One thing I found amusing is, so like at uni, like you have lecture theatres, right? And like lecture theatres have like seating.
Yeah.
And in exams, you hear like the seats go up and down all the time because they're all like real old. And the newer ones, it's actually fine because they make seats properly now.
They just need CRC on them.
But in like the old ones, like you hear them go up and down. Yeah. It's not even the squeak, but like they all move at different speeds. Like the friction level of the seat is very different.
Yeah.
So that's something you look forward to. And if someone wants to get out, you have to let them out.
Oh, if you are sitting like in the middle, you just have to wait until the person beside you is gone. If you make somebody else sit up in the middle of their exam to like go past them.
Or you can jump over.
Yeah, that's also a little bit of parkour never hurt anybody.
Yeah, no, but yeah.
Actually, speaking of, for anyone who is watching this that is going into like uni this year, one fun thing that you might experience during O Week is people vomiting in lecture theatres. Have you never seen that?
No.
Okay, so
what kind of lectures are you going to?
The fun ones. I'm on the cool side of the island.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to do a first year course this try. It'll be interesting.
So like during O Week,
Yeah.
it's like it's not like uncommon for like people who have just gone too hard the night before.
Yeah.
And they like drag themselves to the lecture the next day. And I've seen someone get vomited on in a lecture theatre before. I'm not even kidding.
Do I have to like skip all my first year lecture, like my 100 level paper? Do I just not go to it for 2 weeks?
Just make sure that you've got nobody sitting behind you.
Okay, I'll take note of that. I'm worried now. I didn't realise this was a thing.
It doesn't happen like crazy often, but like I've definitely like heard of it. Like I know that my mates in Dunners like have definitely seen that. So Targo, what do you expect?
Yeah.
But like
Interesting.
like it's just like it's happened enough that like it's happened more than it should, if you know what I mean.
That's
like the fact that there are like multiple people who can like produce that story, like is very fun.
Yeah, that is amusing.
Yeah.
Welcome to university.
Yeah.
Yeah, NCEA. There's a lot
NCEA.
right.
We love it.
I've got a few more minutes if you have anything. If you have any inspiring thoughts. How's your life been?
Swell.
What
Oh, actually, no, I would like to say something. I think this was something that I definitely experienced in externals, especially because, you know, towards the third year of it, I was sort of like quite defeatist at that point that I could never get like an excellence in externals. And I was definitely that kind of person that was just like, I just don't care. Like, I think at that point in time, like, it's very easy to like, I think feel that like frustration of like, I just can't do it. And like, it is something you can get over, like you can do it. And I think like, you know, a lot of the stories and stuff we hear from people is like, you know, they lend themselves towards that kind of mentality sometimes. And so I guess like, yeah, you know, we are the wholesome half hour, so we'll finish on a wholesome note, or I'll throw something wholesome in there. Is like, you know, for every time that you do feel like you just don't get something, or, you know, a standard just doesn't gel with you for whatever reason, it doesn't mean that you aren't a capable human. Like, there is always something that you can do to overcome that. And I think one of the hardest things is definitely like battling that apathy. Like, people who are frustrated but motivated, like that's so much easier to overcome. Like the biggest thing to worry about when you go into exams or in an examination system in general is just having apathy, like just not even caring, because at that point it's like, how can you even build up motivation?
Yeah. Here's something, just playing off what you said, that I remembered like Matthias saying a couple of weeks ago, and I actually like looked into this like a little bit more, and I think there's a lot of value in it. I think motivation is a little overrated.
Yeah.
Like if you are, okay, so the context that, if you like Google this online, the context you'll see it in is work, but like it applies to NCEA as well.
Yeah.
If you're like okay, so like if I talk about myself, if like I'm a professional videographer, like people pay me to make videos.
Yeah.
I can't just like make videos when like I feel inspired. Like you have to be able to like, there has to be a process, and you have to be able to like deliver that on demand consistently at a high quality.
Yeah.
And the reality is that's how like maybe 5% of my work, like I like come up with some weird idea and just go do it. But 95% of my work, there's a process. You plan it, you do it, and whatever. And exact skills like that as well. Like you can't just like wait around till you feel like motivated to write in a title. You have to have a process. You have to like, and that's why like stuff like creating habits and like having processes like on like how you approach internals or how you study for an exam, having that process there that you can like go to is really important.
Matthias's point that he did make the other week when he came in here was, it's less to do about motivation, more to do with discipline. Like, I think a lot of the time we sit around waiting for motivation to strike us, or we feel that that is the thing that's missing, when, you know, if we think about it, maybe it is just discipline. Maybe we aren't actually pushing ourselves to just get it done.
Because a lot of the time we know what we need to do as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we like to pretend that we don't, but we know like for this internal, like all I need to do is like sit down and do these past papers, or sit down and make a cheat sheet on this topic. And having the discipline to just go and do that, regardless of how you feel.
I think
and like sit down for 25 minutes.
Yeah, I think that is something that we like overlook a lot, is actually just like having that discipline within yourself to know when you have to, you know, stop mucking around and actually get something done. Like it gets to a point, and I think because we kind of do treat motivation is a bit more of a whimsical concept that, you know, like creativity, where it just comes and goes in fleeting branches, you know. Whereas I think discipline is something that people can kind of like hold on to quite a bit more and say, well, discipline is something that you train for, discipline is something that you commit to. And I'm not saying that motivation and creativity aren't the same. I think they are, and I think just like any skill, you can develop it and you can work on it. It's not something that you either have or you don't. You do develop it and you do work on it, but I think for a lot of people, I think maybe discipline is like that step that people need to kind of have in place first, because that is sort of, I guess, what directly correlates to creating good habits and that kind of thing.
Yeah, discipline breeds consistency, and consistency is what breeds results.
And once you get those kind of results and you see that your efforts are producing something, you do find yourself more motivated. You know, like you're much more motivated to keep going to the gym once you notice like changes in your body.
Yeah, like once you realize that like it's that like cumulative effect is actually a thing.
Yeah.
You're definitely more encouraged to like keep going.
Yeah. I think discipline breeds motivation.
Yeah. So,
a wholesome note to a somewhat treacherous wholesome.
Thanks so much for listening. Anything you wanted to add? No? If you have any favourite bits, you should drop the timestamps in the comments. We're on Spotify now. You can subscribe there, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever your heart desires.
If you guys have like any other ideas of like how like funny stories, or you know, like a wholesome half hour that isn't necessarily all about how to make it through school, you know, like a session that we all just sit down and complain for a bit, you know, we can definitely do that every now and then. So if you have like other ideas for that kind of stuff, like definitely hit us with them.
And if you have your own like stories, you can drop them in the comments as well. We'd love to hear them.
Treat the comment section like a big old therapy session.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Thanks so much for watching. I don't think anyone's noticed this, but we release these episodes on Mondays now. We used to do them on Thursdays. I don't think anyone's noticed that we like changed the day. Mysteries of life. It's weird though, because it means we film it on Friday, and I have to edit it on Friday or the weekend.
That was a decision that you gave yourself.
Yeah.
You
It was good.
decided-
I reckon it's good. I reckon, Monday, you got some motivation on Monday to watch this show and like get hyped for the week, get amped.
We
A
love it.
wholesome half hour is like a good substitute for a can of Red Bull, I reckon.
Yeah. On that note, have a good week, guys. And
Please.
yeah,
Thanks for watching.
thanks for watching.
Bye.